Hello YouTube. I smashed the screen on my Dell Venue Pro. It is Gorilla Glass, but it is breakable evidently. And there it is. So I found a post on TechNet on how to replace the screen, but there was no video, so I thought I would videotape it just to show YouTube how to do it. This is the basic, pull your battery, pull your SIM card. You're going to need to pry it out because it's a pain in the behind and I don't have fingernails. There's going to be some times when I speed up the video because this gets really boring and long. Um, but the basically what all you're going to need is a T5, which is not in that case. It's a Torx head screwdriver. So you're going to need to get you one. I had to borrow one. You're going to need a um, case opener. Well, there's the T5 screwdriver, or one with a T5 bit. You're going to need a case opener, and of course you're going to need a new digitizer in glass. The glass I got from eBay, they seem to be a little bit more available. It took me a little while to find one when I first started looking. But I did find one. I found one out of the UK, but it seemed really pricey. The one I got from eBay cost me $55 or $60 with shipping, so it wasn't too bad. It did direct ship from China, so it took probably 2 weeks to get in, but again, for $55 or $60, you can get it. At this point I sped up the video. It's basically removing the 6 Torx screws on the back of the case. You're going to remove 5 of them. You can see the 6th one is underneath a little like plastic sticker on top of it. You'll see right there. You just put your screwdriver in it, it comes right out. You're going to use your case opener along the edge of the chrome on the front side to separate the back panel from the phone itself. I didn't find it that difficult, as you can see. I'm doing this voiceover because, yeah, screaming babies and dogs barking in the background is not much fun for YouTube videos, and it drives me crazy when people do that. So, found myself a nice quiet place to record the audio after this was done, and I was kind of shooting from the hip. I had never done this before. Matter of fact, I've never done this before of posting a how-to video, so, let me know what you think. I'm taking my time at this point because I'm not sure how everything's connected. Just kind of looking at it, and don't do what I'm about to do. I just pulled them apart. Use your case tool or something to separate the connectors. You can damage the ribbon cables otherwise, but do as I say, not as I do, as the old saying goes. And there it is. So you've got basically the back off of it. The motherboard is in my left hand. Got the digitizer in the screen, and it's on the table. You're gonna at this point have to remove 4 additional T5 Torx screws. You have to slide it open to do it. 2 are up underneath some black stickies on the screen itself at the top part right there, and I'm trying to remove it with a screwdriver. It doesn't work, so I go to the good old-fashioned X-Acto knife. There we go. I'm going to zoom in here on the back ones because they're recessed, and you actually have to get to them through some holes in the back. But I got some pretty good shots of where that is here. So as you can see, those screws are kind of hidden, but you can get to them. Oh, and want to mention one other thing. I did not notice when I took the case apart, the photo um, button, the shutter button on the case came out and was lodged inside between the motherboard and the back case. Took me forever to find it. That's why there's going to be a break in the video when I go to reassemble it, because I got it most of the way together and then could not find the button. Noticed that it was missing, so I had to kind of hunt for it. I eventually found it, but when you're disassembling yours, um, just be careful. Notice it will fall out. It's not attached to anything. It just kind of sits in there. So just keep an eye out for that. Right now, I've taken the 4 screws out. Use your case separator, case tool to just pop it apart. It does not appear to be glued or anything like that, like some of the other phones I've worked with. It just comes right off. There you go. And your ribbon cables come through the hole. There's only one other connection at this point that you need to remove. It's going to be a ribbon cable from the LCD to the digitizer. It's in the black part at the top. You'll see in just a second as I go to pull it apart. On the bottom there is some foam sticky tape. You can see I'm going to pull it off. It was not on the new digitizer that I got. Don't know if it really need it or not. There you go. You see it at the bottom right there. I just pulled it off. It didn't seem to do a tremendous amount. There is the connection. Use your case tool to separate the connection. That way you don't damage the ribbon cable. Okay, now notice at this point I did not remove the LCD. I got it all disconnected, ready to swap over. One of the problems I've had with other phones is once you get fingerprints on the inside of these things, they seem to be impossible to get rid of, along with dust and other things. So I tend to want to go directly from one to the other if possible. So I tend to lay them side by side, and once I'm ready, I'll remove the protective films and go directly across, trying not to put any fingerprints or gather any dust in the process. I try to find a dust-free environment. I'm on a kitchen table that has a plastic tablecloth on it. So you'll connect these two back. These are not hard. It's some of the easier ones to get connected. You got plenty of room. Took me a second, but I have big clumsy fingers with no fingernails, so hopefully you'll have better luck at all of this than I did. I always have problems with these phones with the small connectors, trying to get them lined up and get my fingers in places that evidently they weren't designed to go. So get it all back together, get it put back. Then you'll go and pass the ribbon cables back through the phone, the back plate slider mechanism, I guess it is. And you'll screw everything back together. You can snap it back together first. It kind of snaps in place, and then you'll put some screws to hold it. Now you see the snaps coming there. There they go. after I finished inspecting it, making sure everything looked right, put it back together, start putting the screws back in. That's the two hidden ones. Put those first. It doesn't really matter. You can do them last, but I guess I just chose to do those first. Get all that put back together, and then we'll put the slider mechanism back on the motherboard, which is a pain. I'll cut out a lot of the video of me fiddling with it. It took me a while to get the connectors all back together, and then once I got them all back together, I realized I did not have the photo button in it, so I had to take it all back apart and do it again. So make sure you put your shutter button back in before you get too far. Otherwise, you'll just have to take it all apart and just put the shutter button in, and it's no fun, believe me. I always try to make the phone look like it was before. So if I remove a plastic sticker or something, I always try to return it back to its location. That way, it doesn't look like the phone's been tampered with and jacked with. There it is. You see, I found it. I was very angry at that little button at this moment. Half an hour extra of work trying to find it, but it is. It just sits in there, so it's hard. You have to lay it in. There's no indicator on which direction it has to go, so I actually had to do it twice to make sure I had it the right direction. The first time, of course, it was wrong. So if it doesn't slide, if it doesn't move, once you put the case back in, you're gonna have to take it apart and turn it around, say 180 degrees in the hole, because it only works one direction. So you slide the LCD closed, and then you'll put the two longer ribbon cables on first. I had some fun with that because I'm uncoordinated and half blind, so it took me a little while to get those back together, to get a good technique to line them up. So you're going to go do those two first. Once you get those two snapped in, you will go down to the other two, which are, believe it or not, harder. I found that vertical, the way I'm holding it now, to be one of the easier ways to get to it, just, for whatever reason. You're going to see me actually holding it up, and as you can see, actually right now the shutter button is not in. I decided to put it in just before, after I get all the ribbon cables together, put the shutter button in last. That way it'll make your life a little easier, and it won't keep falling out on you, because there's nothing really to hold it in, because the button it pushes is actually on the front part of the slider mechanism itself, I think. There we go. Now we're putting it in. This is difficult because it's not going to work the way I'm trying, because you got to put, gravity is working against me. So I flip it over and unfortunately take it out of frame, but you have to flip it over, look up underneath, line it up. There we go. Trying to get everything back in frame so y'all can see what I'm doing, and fail miserably. But fiddle with it a little bit, get it lined up, and then hurry up and snap the thing shut that before it falls out on you. There we go. So I've got it in there. I've got it shut, closing everything up. Put the 6 screws on the back in. Now while I replace these screws, I just want to let you know I'll be putting a link to the blog post that has the information on how to do this. That was done by Robert Larson over on Microsoft's TechNet, but he didn't have a video to go along with it, and I didn't see anything out there on YouTube already, surprisingly. So I thought I'd put this together since I was doing it anyway, and it's something I've been wanting to do as a how-to video on YouTube. So while I put these last 2 screws in, that's gonna finish it all up. Then I just have to put the SIM card and battery back in. I want to say it was not the easiest, but not tremendously difficult. If you've never done this before, you know, understand that it's never done anything like this before. It's somewhat difficult. You need to kind of understand how things come apart and then go back together. But following the video, you should see, if you feel comfortable with this or not. You do, of course, void the warranty. You can't open a phone without voiding the warranty. Also want to say there is a handy trick on upgrading the memory. It's got a micro SD card right next to the battery that's hidden behind some tape. I do plan on doing that in the near future, so there are some videos on how to do that on YouTube. Check it out if that's something you want to do. And that works. Yay! Power comes on. Let's see if the touchscreen works. Touchscreen works, and no, you can't see my pin code. Alright. This phone has been updated to Mango, Windows Phone 7.5. So that's seems to be pretty nice. Hopefully get to use it a little bit more now. Well, peace out, YouTube. Have fun. Let me know what you think. Let me know how I could improve the video if I plan on doing more in the future.